Here we are, tapped in, and I have two lovely guests here. Granger Moffett, head instructor of Full Charge, and Shay Moffett, you are the co-instructor, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, very cool to have you guys on the show. We've seen you guys around, and so we just want to get to know you a little bit and get to know what you're doing at the school. So we have a couple questions to start, and let's just start with, well, you guys are, hold on, you guys are in Thatcher, right?
Yes, yes, we are.
That's far out.
Yeah,
That
we're
is like,
we're about 2.5 hours away, 2.5 to 3 hours away from the valley. So it's a
wow.
it's a little bit of a trip to get up there. So
And you still make your way over there. That's awesome. That's cool. And I just saw you compete. Congratulations on your win.
thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. So let's start with how did you guys get into jiu-jitsu? I know that's going way back. We can take turns here. So, yeah, how did you guys get into jiu-jitsu?
You want to go first, Shay?
I'll go first. So I was 19. I was cocktailing. I came home from the bar and was attacked coming into my apartment.
Wow.
And so, kind of had a struggle with the guy. He ended up running off. But then it was suggested, hey, like, you need to do something to have some confidence. And so that's actually when I started training jujitsu. So I guess it's kind of a yin yang thing. I did go through something kind of not pleasant, but on the other side, I did get been exposed to jujitsu.
Wow. Okay. Granger?
Mine was quite a few years ago. Before I went through the police academy when I was 21. A lot of the guys there were training at the police department when it was still pretty early in its stages here in Arizona. I think Gustavo might have been around.
Okay.
I know my instructor at the time, he was affiliated with Martin Escobar down in Tucson. And so I just, before getting into the academy, like I was just like, hey, I've never been a wrestler before or had any type of like defensive tactics or any type of like ground fighting or anything like that training. So I decided just to start just jump in with those guys and start training a little bit and try to get ready to hit the police academy.
So when did you guys open up the school?
So we didn't really open up until 2016 with the full-time academy. I started Full Charge Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu around 2011. There was a pretty big layoff that happened at the mine about 2009, 2010, if I remember correctly. And between my white belt and blue belt years, I kind of had some inconsistent training here and there through personal matters and stuff like that. So like, I was like, the only way I'm going to get to train is if I become like an instructor and like start running classes. So working night shifts and graveyards up there at the mine, like I had some time to like start to develop like what does a logo look like? The beginning pieces of to the academy, what it is today is the story is pretty fun. The way I got it started. So
Yeah.
2011 is basically when Full Charge kind of started around, but our academy really started taking off in 2016.
Yeah, we had been just training me and him in an extra bedroom with our little mat.
Wow.
I ended up pregnant, and I was like, "You need someone else to train with." So we kind of, we had actually a neighbor that was training with us as well, and we're like, "Let's just do it."
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was a fun little. We had like a 10 by 10 and we did some drills and we figured out how you can roll effectively on a 10 by 10 mat at the house. And when we were just kind of like chilling out, Aaron Huntsman, he's like, wouldn't it be cool if one day we had a place where we can just go and train? And like, that was the little
There
spark
you
I
go.
needed. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I need to, okay, what kind of space do we need? How many mats do I need to have? Like what kind of like financial system, like what does that need to start with? And like
Right.
how many heads do I need to have in class to be able to like at least break even? So just that little spark. And I think probably about a month or two later, I kind of showed Shay, like, hey, this is what I found. This is what it
Yeah.
might
No,
take
that's
to run the
awesome.
academy.
Awesome. So your journey as a professor. So was that like an easy transition, you think, or how did that unfold for you?
Too.
Well, yeah, I just kind of had to do it because like
Yeah.
being a blue belt, you're like, I don't know, who's going to come and learn from a blue belt? And like, how do I even teach being a blue
Yeah.
belt? Like, I'm
Right.
barely I'm like an advanced beginner that knows a little here and there, but like, how do we, like, what does that look like? And are people going to trust me to like believe in the process and just join this jujitsu journey with me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a fun journey. It's been a fun journey, but like it's being an instructor. You definitely have to wear two hats. I've probably worn the hat of instructor longer than I've been like a student to the game.
Right.
Especially like going to other academies and being a student. Like you, as an instructor, you're constantly watching the new games. You're studying your own stuff. You're researching and everything like that. So
Right.
I feel like
And
I've done more instructing, or feel like I've been an instructor more than a
and
student.
it's a whole different game too, teaching the adults and the kids too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how is
Mm-hmm.
that? How is that for you?
Um,
Well, I mean, we had to involve the kids because we have 7 kids between the two of us.
Yeah.
So, you know, and jujitsu takes time. We have 6 of 7 are girls, and we just think it's really important to, give our girls that confidence that jujitsu gives you. And then also, just from the advice of other black belt instructors in their gyms, they say that the kids like almost finance the gym. Like your kids stick around. Sometimes your adults, come and go more so. So I think we had to do kids just even to, financially be able to break even. And we wanted our girls in it, so basically we had our girls in it, and we found people that, wanted to be their partners and then join the gym, It's
So
really
you guys
cool.
are a whole jujitsu family with the kids,
For sure.
and you guys. That's awesome.
For sure. And I'm even proud to say, I think more than half of our students that are children are girls.
Yeah, it's a good split.
It's really,
it's a really close split. It's not, it's almost 50-50. So it's pretty neat.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hear about your competition experience. I know you've competed. Shay, have you competed? I don't know. I haven't seen you.
I competed a lot as a blue belt.
Okay.
I was age for masters, but chose to do adults just so there was more competitors, and I did very well at that blue belt level. Right when I got my purple belt was when I had my daughter Jade.
Mm-hmm.
That took some recovery, came back, and she was just so cute. We wanted one more.
Yeah.
And so we had one more. So between my purple and brown belt, I had 2 more babies, and it takes time to get back.
Right.
Recently I was, really excited right before I got my black belt, I got to compete as a brown belt, and unfortunately tore my ACL.
Oh, no.
So now I'm working on that. We'll see. Hopefully I can make it back to competition that I'm dealing with that right now. But still
sorry
training.
to hear. I mean, injuries suck, but that's kind of what you sign up for, right?
Yep.
So we've all been there, and hopefully we get to see you back on the mats and competing.
Thank you.
So tell us your first time that you ever competed. So your very first experience competing. How was that?
So my first time was when I was a white belt back in, what was it, 2002, 2003. I was a white belt.
Okay.
I think it was just before Gustavo started doing his competitions. I remember my first ref. I think it's Lopez. I think I see him every once in a while. I think it's I still see him around the competitions, but so my first competition, like I'm fairly confident, like I'm all pumped up and excited to get in there, and had the cool haircut with the mohawk and like totally like a white belt, man. And I got destroyed. I got caught in I forgot what the Brazilians call it, but it's called like the rotisserie. Basically,
Okay.
when you go from back mount to mount, back mount to
Uh-huh.
mount, back mount to mount, and like at the end of the match, like it was like 20-0, and like I caught completely destroyed. And
Yeah.
I think the learnings I got from that were like, you don't get any points from going from mount to back in the guard, and not to turn your back and go to your mount all the time.
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't a great experience, but one that I definitely remember. I'll always remember that. So
Yeah. My first jiu-jitsu competition, it was again one of Gustavo's tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing for me in that there was a drill we did where you get him in your guard, you get the triangle, you transition to armbar. It was almost, I did the drill and I won the match.
Oh,
And it was so
nice.
funny. I was like, that was the drill and I won the match.
Yeah.
So then my next match, I had to bow out. I had a fellow teammate from our Tucson affiliate, and she had been training longer. And so that was a little bit of, that was kind of bittersweet, because I was like, man, but that was how it went. So
It's okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So do you guys push your students to compete at all? Is that something that you guys do, or are you more like lenient about the whole competition aspect? What's kind of like your style at the school?
I would say that we put the tournaments out. Hey, we're planning on these tournaments this year. Definitely, if it's a new person, I think that they wait for Granger to tell them they're at least ready.
yeah.
Okay.
We don't make anybody compete. I guess we encourage it, but we don't make them.
Okay.
I feel like you could still get a lot from jiu-jitsu and not compete.
Absolutely.
No,
What are your, yep, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, we believe in like I'll try to like, hey, they might not talk about competition, but I'll be like, hey, like if you're thinking about a competition, I think you're looking good, man. Like I think you'd do well. So I'm always kind of encouraging them to like, because it's something different from the academy training versus the competition training, or not even the training, but just the environment. But really, I heard a podcast with Danaher talking about the plank, and competition is like we put all this extra illusions into a competition. Like hey, like it's like there's the dues, you have to pay the competition fee. It's in Phoenix, the mats are different. You got all these people paying attention. Like there's a referee, there's a score table. But at the end of the day, you're really just going out there and doing what you do every day at the mats at your academy. So we've trying to talk to those guys about that. It's been a fun piece to try to link the two training sessions to a competition session. But like we definitely encourage it. It's like especially if they're getting ready to go to the next level, like, hey man, like let's get a competition in before we get that next level. Like I want to kind of see what you're doing with someone you're not used to. So
do you offer competition classes, or do you kind of just have like the same type of class?
So this isn't my full-time gig. I still have a full-time job. Shay and I both have full-time jobs. And I just recently got moved to a straight day shift thing for a couple of years. So like our academy hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, where we have little rhinos, and then our older kids class, and then we have our adults class. We're also involved with AYSO. It's a soccer program here, and we're usually tied up between September or August to November. So we usually have a Friday competition class where it's kind of like by invitation. We'll have the older kids. We'll have an older kids comp list that way you can kind of push the pace a little bit more. The kids are like understand what's going on a little bit better, and you can kind of get a little bit more. They can be a little more of an intense training session, and same with the adults. We have a comp class on Friday when we're not doing soccer. So
yeah, okay. Do you have any specific requirements for somebody that wants to compete? Let's say it's a white belt and they're a couple months in. What are the requirements for them to compete?
I think they need to have a basic understanding of like position, because we talk a lot about like white belts. If you watch a lot of white belt matches, like they're won and lost by a positional, like being able to maintain side control or being able to recover a guard, or even getting to the mount. So like if they have a good understanding on like what those base positions look like they understand, hey, yeah, I'm in a guard. Like the next step is I need to pass and get the side control. I can either go side control knee on belly into mount, and then those transitions that happen, whatever that looks like from the mount. So I think as long as they have and they have a couple of good sweeps and they have some attacks, because really we want their first experience. Like we want it to be a good experience. And sometimes a good experience to a competitor is their hand gets raised at the end of the match. And really it's 50-50. They might not get their hand raised at the end of the match, but a good experience is one where if they don't win, but like they can showcase their game. Like they didn't freeze. They didn't get in the mount and they didn't freeze and hold themselves up. Like they're still trying to regain their guard, still trying to pass. So like, yeah.
Yeah. Do you talk to them about the rules at all? So the AZBJJL follows the IBJJF rule set. So do you talk to them about the rule set going into it?
We definitely have way more. Probably the last couple of years we've been a little, especially after COVID, when we started opening back up and COVID, we started opening up and going back to competing. Like we've definitely taken more time to talk about like points, like positional, and like what does a takedown look like if you both pop up, if you were both in the guard. So we definitely have had more conversations around those points systems, especially like sometimes the Jiu-Jitsu World League, like there's a difference. There's no advantages. It's like if you could be tied, but like whoever scored the last points would be who got the tiebreaker. So we definitely talk about that. So it kind of falls into our strategy with competing when they're competing, or at least give them some ideas. So they're like, oh man, like why didn't I get 2 points? Why didn't I get the sweep from the mount?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so what about weight classes? Because that's a whole nother thing too, especially like the younger kids. How do you guide them with that?
So we try to be careful with the younger kids.
Okay.
There's been a couple that, came close, and I don't want children to be worrying about what they're eating or not eating, or I need to drink less water. So there's been a couple where, because they're right at the border, they end up having to go up a weight class. Just because I don't think it's good to, give children that kind of complex when they're in the middle of growing.
Right.
I think we try to, if with our adults, about, healthy eating and, and weight class can be difficult.
Right. Yeah. Because everyone's different, right? Everyone's body's different.
For sure.
People don't want to cut weight,
Yes.
So you don't necessarily have to, but
yes,
it always does help a little bit,
Yeah, and I know personally we've been close before, and you're watching your water and this and that. Yeah. It's unfortunate you're worried about that and not your jiu-jitsu. So I think we're hopeful that our students don't follow that path and are prepared before competition day.
It's just a couple side notes, because we have the weight scale down there and we get the kids signed up because the parents are kind of curious on, hey, my kid weighs this much. Like, what class should I put him in? Like, they might be 2 pounds under. So like, we'll get them signed up. And then like, I have a scale up and it's like, hey, if we're competing, like we're going to just check the weight. Cause like, I want to make sure that they know, but like, because like it's something that goes through their head too. And like, if they're close, like I don't have a problem. And it's funny. Some of the kids, like they do really well, even if they have to bump up in weight. It's the kids are awesome. That's one thing I've really grown to love is coaching the kids. And Yeah, but the weight classes for adults, like when I was competing a lot, blue, purple, brown, like mainly blue and purple, like I can't believe what I would put my body through to like get down to 181. Like that was, I was like, I was 181 and a half. That was my weight class.
Right.
And like looking at what I did then to like where I'm at now, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever see 181.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an element that you'd have to discuss, and you want to be there to support your students if they want to drop weight, and if they can't, then like support them and give them what they can. So
yeah, absolutely. Do you talk to your students about being mentally prepared? Because that's, jiu-jitsu, just training jiu-jitsu at the gym is completely different than going into competition, as you guys both know. Do you talk to them about just like being in competition and preparing for that day?
So years ago, Gustavo kicked off that BJJ mental coach thing he did a while back. And as soon as we saw that, we're like, me and Shay, like, we're going to sign up. Let's get into this thing and listen to what he has to say, because like it feels like we always have mental blocks that kind of restrict us from like performance, right?
Yeah.
And probably the biggest thing I took away from that was his saying process and performance. And he talked about all the negative baggage that we carry with us going into a competition. Like I mentioned before, like, oh, we got to get a room. Like we're 3 hours away. We got to leave in time to make it down there if we're driving up the day before. Or wait, do we drive up the night before so we can stay and have better rest? We got kids screaming all over the place. Like, am I going to be on weight? I can't drink too much water. Like, what time do I show up to the gym to check my weight? Like, so he said right off the bat, like you're so thinking all these negative thoughts, you don't have time to think about the positive. So he just basically said, hey, you just waddle those up together, you set them to the side, and you'll come back and visit them later. So we've definitely had that talk there at the academy about process and performance, and like all the stuff that you did before leading up to the competition is the process. And then when the competition day is here, like you can't go back and change. You can't go back and change. I wish I would have trained harder. I wish I would have not had that cheat meal then so I can stay weight. Like now it's just time, switch gears. It's time to perform. If you perform to the best of your abilities and you move and you play your game, like, yeah, your hand should be raised at the end of the match.
Right.
If it didn't, then it's a learning experience. Like now you can go back to the drawing board and fix those things that you should have. But yeah, process and performance is a big thing I've repeated over and over again, and something I really kind of hold true to myself from that training that Gustavo kicked off years ago.
Love it. What advice would you give to somebody that's just about to compete for the first time? Just one piece of advice.
Try to have fun.
There you go.
Breathe.
Right? We all forget to do that, which is crazy. But
another one, I've been really looking at how do you communicate to your kids, because kids go through the same thing. Like they're going like, hey bud, like don't be nervous when you go out there to compete. Right. Kids are a freaking basket case. Like they already know, they already want to do well. And like for you to tell them, hey, don't be nervous, like immediately they're going to start, okay, I'm going to be I'm just like, it's like the red elephant. Don't think of a red elephant. I'm thinking of the red elephant. So one thing is breathe, but like one thing I've been saying probably the last couple of competitions is trust in your training. And I think just that phrase alone kind of like gives the kid the okay, like, hey, okay, like trust in my training. Like there shouldn't be any extra pressure on like, don't be nervous or be excited, or like, it's just go out there, do your thing, trust in your training, and like, hey, we're going to be there for you at the end of the match. So it's been those are probably a couple of things I've been talking to people when they, especially before they get out there on the mat, because they're just,
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, we've seen you guys at the Arizona events, and thank you for supporting. And we want to know, how has your experience been at the league?
I love it.
Okay.
Honestly, I like how it's run. They're very feedback oriented. I know they can't satisfy everybody, but a lot of the things that they've brought up, like they've made things better. Like I love, we wish they would shorten them up if there's less competitors instead of dragging them all the way out. But
Yeah.
like I totally understand like the logistics and like running the business and like, hey, like you paid for this section, like you're gonna be there all day long. Like I get it, but like
Right.
Heath and those guys, they're really good with communicating with like setting up the brackets and just the whole piece of the competition, and communicating. Gustavo's always walking around and he's always open to like talking to anybody, especially if there's some thoughts. And sometimes he doesn't even talk about jujitsu. So I think it's a really good run organization and we love supporting it. Um, I love the exhibition matches where the kids get a chance
Sure.
Right.
because I mean it kind of is a lot. If you go to IBJJF and like they don't have, I don't think they have an exhibition ring
I
and
don't
we're
think
just
so either. Yeah.
and trying to get those kids an extra match and sometimes they can get an extra 2 or 3. I think it's great for them. And if there's a little hiccup, then like Heath and those guys, they do a really good job on trying to make it better or fixing the situation. So
Awesome. Well, we love to hear it. Thank you for supporting. And
yep.
where can we find you guys on social media?
So we have a website, www.fullchargebjj.com. We're also on Instagram. I think it's Full Charge BJJ as well. And then we have the Facebook page, Full Charge Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, yep, we're out there. Small town Arizona out here, competing with the big dogs, and it's cool to see our hand raised
Yes,
here and there.
for
So
sure.
it's fun. So
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you out there again. And again, thank you.